Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another session of Once Upon a Time with Rinpoche. And today we'll be discussing, me telling you stories on the games that Rinpoche play. So as usual, before we begin, let me see if I'm online first. Let me mute so that I don't... What is going on? Nothing's going on. Reloading the page. Loading, and okay, I am officially online. Thank you very much. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is the games that Rinpoche play. Okay, I'm referring not to mind games. I'm not referring to something funny like that, although it sounds like it. This is a play of words. What I was referring to is literally the games, the little fun and games that Rinpoche play with his students. Rinpoche, although when he's giving the teaching, is very can be very serious, but there's also a lighter side to Rinpoche where there's humor, there's jokes, there's fun, there's games. So I'm going to tell you some things that Rinpoche used to play and the reason behind it, because Rinpoche actually almost always have an intention, a virtuous intention, and a teaching behind it, behind the games that he plays, okay, with his students. Hi everybody. Hi, I see some people on already, quite a lot of people. Hi Jeffrey. Hi Hu Yin Yin, Li Feng, Elaine, Elsie, and Sangye Tamang. Namaste. Yin Ting, Andre. Nice to see you, cousin. So when I first met Rinpoche many years ago, one of the things that Rinpoche liked to do was, there's a few things that Rinpoche used to play with us. Some of them I was very, if I tell you, it sounds very childish, but when Rinpoche plays it, it's really fun, you know, in a sense that he can get almost anybody, you know, at almost any age to play along with Rinpoche. In a sense that what Rinpoche used to do was he loves to hide, and he loves to surprise people. You know, he would scream, he would shout, and he would surprise people and you know, jump out of from hiding and then scream at people and surprise them. And it is fun. It is funny sometimes to see people's reaction, because you know, all different people have different reaction. Some people will you know, they will just scream. Some people would suddenly and then they pat their chest. Sorry, I hope I'm not like disturbing the mic here. They'll pat themselves, you know, because they're so in shock. Some people will have not much reaction, and usually when those people not much reaction, what Rinpoche would do is would play some other thing, would do some other thing. But anyway, most people would have a reaction, including myself. I think there's a video floating around that of Rinpoche scaring me once, yeah, giving a scare, and he jumped out when I was coming into a building, which is in DA, Dukkha Apartments in Kechara Forest Retreat, and I jumped. I don't recall screaming, but I jumped. When Rinpoche screamed, I didn't expect Rinpoche at all. So I jumped, you know, I literally jumped. And that's usually my reaction when I'm really surprised. Either that or I say, you know, an expletive, which is I better not say it, you know, here. So those are usually what Rinpoche used to do, and why Rinpoche would play these games. And this doesn't happen just at random. This happens when we go out to the movies, especially when we go out to the movies. Rinpoche likes to take his students and friends to the movies from time to time, and especially horror movies. Rinpoche's favorite genre of movies, horror movies. So Rinpoche would scary movies. So Rinpoche would bring us to the movies, and he would scare us at the right moment. One thing, what the movies does is there's this sound, that and that there's silence, it's dark. You're expecting the spirit, the ghost, the vampire, the zombie to jump out at any time, and there's this sound, there's this anticipation. And they're walking slowly, the character in the movie, and then Rinpoche would scare the daylights out of us. Sometimes he would do that, and it's quite fun. And yeah, he would do all that all the time. But why Rinpoche would do that? Why so childish? Why would play such, why would a Lama play such childish games? Well, Rinpoche had aside from bonding with us, aside from just having just childlike play with us, that was Rinpoche's way of telling us, or rather, to, how do I say this? When you get scared, Rinpoche used to say, when you get scared, it's when how scared you are when someone jumps out and someone screams. How scared you are is how much your ego arises. Why does your ego arises when you're scared? It arises because that's the first thing you think. You are scared. You're afraid that if it's a spirit, if it's a robber, if it's someone who is going to hit you or rob you or whatever, you want to protect yourself. So that scare is your ego, the immediate reaction. So everybody has a different reaction. So some people, when they're very prepared, of course, when Rinpoche scared us enough, so we're very prepared. So, some of us are like, we have not much reaction because, we know Rinpoche is going to do it. So yeah, so Rinpoche will change his tactics. So the thing is, it is our ego when we're scared. That's just one aspect of our ego. Just because we're not scared when we are frightened, when Rinpoche does a jump scare on us, doesn't mean that we don't have ego. By the way, it's just that we are prepared and we expected it. Like some of us, with Rinpoche, then Rinpoche would change tactics, of course. But that was one of the earliest games I know. When I first met Rinpoche used to do and play with us, with all his students. He did, it doesn't matter whether it's a student or a monk. Rinpoche used to scare the monks too. And Rinpoche was very, well, he was, it was very fun. It was fun. And at the same time, it was, it was just to lighten things up, and it was just to bond with people. It was, and of course, it depends on who it is, and it depends on. But Rinpoche usually doesn't have any like, because you are older or whatever. But of course, Rinpoche is aware that some older people cannot be, So it's those. Rinpoche is very, very observant, of course, of who he does this to. Okay, let me see. I got some little comments here of this. Pastor Nora says, haha, Rinpoche used to scare me a lot. There are many videos of Rinpoche scaring me. Me too. And then Sharon says, Rinpoche jumped, scare my second son at a pizza joint, and it was really hilarious when my son told me about it. I'm sure. And then, hello Bradley, good evening. Marcus said, I'm easily scared and easily frightened when somebody does something like this. So I would probably be the worst for him to do this. It will not be the worst, it will be the best. If you knew Rinpoche, Marcus, you would be his favorite victim. He would scare you to a point where you don't feel anything anymore, and you're like, whatever, hello Rinpoche, And Rinpoche used to scare the monks. That's hilarious. Yeah, Rinpoche played a lot of pranks on the monks, especially the younger monks, because it was just fun. It was not all our pieces like a Dharma lesson all the time. It's just fun. It was just games sometimes. It was just lighting the mood. And at the same time, Rinpoche would have also inadvertently he would observe people's reaction, and he would know. Usually when Rinpoche observes people's reaction to being scared, if they're very, very scared and they get very... You see some people, when they get scared, their reaction would be sometimes tinged with anger, like, how dare you, So Rinpoche would know what level they are at. and how to handle them in terms of giving teachings, explaining things, giving personal advice. Rinpoche is very skilled in that, in his way to interpret people's reaction and their level of practice and their level of ego. And Andri Nugroho Sihananto, hello. Wow, we need to hear more at Scaring Monk part. I don't really know much more except that Rinpoche has done it. I have heard about it. I have not seen it personally, but I have heard about it. And with us, the most lah, obviously. With me, I've gotten it a lot. You know, there's more than just scared, you know, being scared, jump scared. Okay. Aside from that, Rinpoche used to play this game called the pig game. I wrote about it. Two games I will talk about it tonight. The pig game and the earring game. These are very, very important games because it's really fun. I will tell you now why it's so fun. Let's start with the pig game because that came first. The pig game it's kind of like it's a one-on-one. It's Rinpoche on one person. And obviously, usually this person will be not someone Rinpoche has met. It will be someone who is Rinpoche kind of familiar with already. And Rinpoche would ask them to pick between two opposing answers. It could be your cousin or your brother. Running, you know, outside in the field for 10 hours or doing something else. So the pig game is designed in such a way that both answers that you are forced to pick it'll make you cringe. It'll make you, oh no, I don't want to do that. And then Rinpoche said, you have to pick. This is the rule of the game. You have to choose between two answers. It's between the devil or the deep blue sea. It's between something really bad, lesser of the two evils. So you have to really, really think lah. So the longer we think, we resist answering, shows Rinpoche what the hang-up is. Sometimes it's a person, certain personalities for this person. It could be a relative, it could be a colleague, and that colleague is well known for being a difficult person, so that will not be a choice they will enjoy. So Rinpoche will know how to pick the next one. So it will be a sequence of questions, and Rinpoche formulates the questions very, very fast. Sometimes he get some of us to make questions, but our questions will never be as good as Rinpoche's, because Rinpoche is just a man-tart. I don't think you've watched Dune yet, right, you guys? A human computer. So Rinpoche is able to come up with these questions because he fully understands people's hang-ups, people's likes and dislikes, and make them choose between very difficult choices. It's just a game. In the end of the day, it's just a game. But some people, I don't want to play anymore, but it's fun. You know what's fun? It's watching it. It's not so much fun if you're on the hot seat having to answer the questions, because it is very glaringly obvious what your hang-ups are when you ask them. But it's fun when you're in the audience watching, because it's fun because you just observe people's reactions and your own reaction also. I mean, ours is not so easy to observe, but when you observe people, then you understand our own reaction. Because when Rinpoche touched on our hang-ups, right, on a person we find difficult, or a task that is difficult, it shows our hang-ups. It shows what's our hang-up. It shows hang-up is when you find it difficult, when you don't like it, when you cringe, when I don't want to do that, I don't want to be with this person. I don't want this person to be my wife. I don't want this person to be my husband. No way, not in a million years. But Rinpoche said, you have to pick. Well, it's just a game. In the end of the day, it's just a game. So yeah, it's very, very telling of the person at times. But at the same time, what happens is it's just a game lah anyway. So what was interesting was how Rinpoche formulated the questions, and very, very quickly, in succession, one after another, one after another. I just remember it's like Rinpoche doing the it's like the monks in the monastery when they do debate. They ask questions like a machine gun, one after another, one after another, one after another, and it is all designed well in the monastery. The questions are actually meant to present a point or to refute a point. In this instance, the game of the pig game, it is designed to reveal our hang-ups. It's designed to make us all laugh, the rest of us. And I've been the butt of Rinpoche's pig game for longest time. I'm always one of Rinpoche's favorites, so everybody knows my hang-ups. Sometimes Rinpoche get bored of asking me, so he would choose other people, which is to my relief. And then I get to be the audience and for a change and laugh. Yeah, okay, sorry. I just got I'm just reliving it, so it's fun for me. Okay, anyway, Sharon says, my first experience with the pig game was kind of unnerving, somewhat scary, and mind-boggling. If you got it enough, right, you just, whatever lah, you just pick. But it's so funny. It's really, really fun. So, yeah, the idea is all of us have attachments. All of us have what is that? Aversion. Aversion means it's the opposite of attachment. It means you don't want to be. Attachment means you want it. You want the situation. You want the friend, the person. You want the situation. You want it. But aversion is is the opposite. You don't want it. You want to push it away. Okay. It's the game shows it very, very obviously, and at the same time, because we respect Rinpoche so much, we have to answer. Because if it's any other person will refuse to participate in this game. Yeah, it's fun, Marcus. It's really fun. Yeah, so that was the pig game. And Rinpoche used to do this with even the monks. Yes, even the monks. And because that's what Rinpoche said, and what the names that Rinpoche used to say, oh, which monk? Oh, I know already. So it was not just for us. Rinpoche used to do that. And Rinpoche had a mission in that, in a sense that, I mean, it was entertainment, it was fun, it was games. At the same time, it was, for Rinpoche, whatever he does with people, all these games, it's when he get an understanding of people, it inevitably, once you play the game, once Rinpoche come up with all these questions, right, Rinpoche will get, even from the reaction that people give, from the way they cringe, they refuse to answer, they take a very long time to answer, or they're like, sometimes some people bargain with Rinpoche. I've noticed. Sometimes, oh, can I have not this person? Can I have someone else? Or can I have a different scenario? Rinpoche said no bargains, no choice. This is the pig game, so it's only the choice that's been given to you. Yeah, so it reveals quite a lot about people, and what happens is, for Rinpoche, is this revelation about people's character, about their likes and dislikes. What Rinpoche does is it helps him formulate perspective about people, and when he gives teachings, it is more effective. The examples that Rinpoche will put into his teachings will be more effective to help people. That was what it is. Andrew asks, in the pig game, are there some who is very stoic or expressionless? There are. Definitely there are. But the longer they play, it's very hard to remain stoic. It's very hard to remain expressionless, where especially with Rinpoche, because he will know how to open you up. Literal, I mean figuratively. Figuratively, if you know what I mean. Yeah, this thinking back about this brings back a lot of memories, because with Rinpoche it was quite fun, And then okay, that's the pig game. Okay, and I wrote a little bit more about it, and the psychology behind it, and and how people play and what Rinpoche does. What I said is just a gist of it. It's in one of my articles on Rinpoche's blog. Okay, the other thing is, the other game that Rinpoche used to play was, what was it? Earring game. The earring game is very simple. It's just a earring. It started with just a earring. I think it's the size of a stud. It's really tiny. And what Rinpoche did was he would hide it. He would get a bunch of us to play the game, of course. And then everyone is called to another room. They have to assemble to another room, and the doors are closed and closed shut so nobody can spy on where Rinpoche hides the earring, which is exactly what it is. Rinpoche would hide the earring. And then he would open the door and everybody rushed to look for it. And Rinpoche would sit there and observe everybody. He would literally, let's say there's 10 people, 20 people. Rinpoche has played with like 40, 50 people as well. You know, a lot of people, like, you know, there was one time he got the volunteers and the staff of Kechara into Kechara house, and he made everyone play the game. And he would just observe. And then, of course, there's a time, I think there was a time limit. I can't remember if there was a time limit. Was there a time limit? I don't think so, right? There was a time limit. Yeah, there was a time limit. Sorry, I almost forgot whether it's time. So basically, there's a time limit, and then you have to search for the earring. So everybody rushes around that room. So Rinpoche will say, okay, the boundary of this game will be this room and this room. So everybody will go around searching. Everything is lifted. Everything is looked upside down, turned inside out. And then Rinpoche sometimes give boundaries in the sense that he'll give clues. Sometimes he'll give clues. The clues can come at the beginning or sometimes in the middle when there's not much time left. Rinpoche say, why don't I give you guys a clue? Then Rinpoche will give a clue, and it's usually like not above your waist, not below your ankles, something like that. So the idea was Rinpoche would just plainly observe people's behavior, observation of how people operate, in a sense of looking for something, in a sense of how the way they look for something in doing this game will be reflective of their personality and how they handle work, how they handle stress, and how they handle when they need to do something. So some people are meticulous. So they will go from section to section to section. Some people will not be meticulous, will be haphazard. They go here, they go there, they go here, they go there. Some people would be, they will not do that either of both. They will look at the others and see where they've looked, and then they will look at they'll be more sneaky, they'll be more skillful. Some people would not play the game. Some people would just sit there, maybe, or play halfway and give up. And then they would just, so everybody have a different personality in how they play the game. And, but it was fun. It was really fun because it was a huge, definitely there's a time limit. There was a rush for it. So the Rinpoche would have prizes for the earring game. There will be really a grand prize. And usually, it will be statues, it will be quite really, really nice gifts that Rinpoche would give for people who find the earring game. And it's very interesting how Rinpoche plays it. And one of the things Rinpoche would do, because this is not just one round of game, it will be multiple rounds. So the multiple rounds of game, each time it gets harder. I've noticed it will get harder and harder to find the earring because Rinpoche had been observing how we look for things. And in his computer mind, he would formulate, okay, everybody is looking in a certain pattern, and he realized there are some places where they have not looked. Rinpoche would notice that, and he would precisely place the item in a place that we have not looked. And so it gets harder. And Rinpoche has that ability to do that, in a way he observes, and then he know where to hide it next that would be even more difficult for us to find. And Yes, this is very, very much very Rinpoche. So, and then the game goes on that, and then after that, Rinpoche, actually it was funny, Rinpoche would taunt us in the middle, jokingly, of course. He would say that, oh, Pastor around found it. No, actually he didn't. Everybody would like, and then sometimes Rinpoche would say, oh, look at Pastor David. He's given up. Look at him. And then sometimes he would say, oh, look, Marcus look like he's going to find it. He's close. He's very, very close. Yeah, he will do things like that, and to make it more fun, everybody will be frantically looking, and it will and when Rinpoche would sometimes would tell us, oh, okay, look at Cynthia. The way Cynthia is looking, she will eventually find it because she's very meticulous. So everybody will start to be more meticulous and really, and every corner. Usually, the people who actually find it are they will usually find it most of the time. The people, because and their behavior and the way they do things is more meticulous. So when it will be reflected in their work, it will be reflected in the way they do things. So that's what Rinpoche has explained about the earring game. And then finally, it will be at the end, Rinpoche would make the prize winner give up the prize for another bigger prize, so that other people get a second chance as well. So Rinpoche will do things like that with the earring game. Wait. I see some comments here. I remember my first earring game. Yeah, I remember my first earring game was with the whole KFR community. The kids had a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh yeah, the one in Dukkha Apartments, isn't it? It was fun. Andri Negruho Sihananto. May I get the link of the article? Oh, okay. Yeah, I think someone posted below. Did anybody ever win or find the earrings? Of course, Marcus, definitely there were people who found it. But there's one or two games I do recall. It was so close that nobody could find it, because Rinpoche was so good, and perhaps the room really had a lot of things also. So yeah, it was not so easy. Cynthia said you can choose to upgrade the prizes from an already awesome prize to an even better prize and end up getting a pineapple. That was so funny. Yes, that's what Rinpoche did also. So funny. I remember I did that. It happened to me once, and I'm not a meticulous person, to be honest. So I almost never find it. But there was one game I remember. It was with a smaller crowd in Rinpoche's Ladrang, and there's a number of people who won prizes, and so it fell onto me because I was kind of like the last one person there, because Rinpoche also, those who win the prize don't participate anymore, So it was me and two or three more other people, and that round of game will be the deciding factor that other people keep their prizes. So there's a whole lot of pressure on me, I just felt, that time it was just me and one person actually, I think. Oh no, it was just me. And then, surprisingly, I found it. I was like so relieved, So I found it, and everybody got to keep the prize, and Rinpoche gave me a prize as well, which was so rare that I actually got any prize from a earring game. Yeah, but I know anyway. There's also, and then Rinpoche also play in the sense that when you won a prize, and Rinpoche say, oh, there's a possibility you can win a bigger prize, and then he will show. And then, but if you lose, you get something else. So sometimes people win and some people lose, and when they lose, they get a pineapple. That's funny. Or Rinpoche keeps it a surprise. There was another time when Rinpoche put it into a kind of a ballot where it's folded and you just pick up. So you can pick up a hug from Pastor David, or a kiss from my feet, or something like that. Yeah, it was fun. Is there always a person or two who would consistently win the game? Yes, actually, there are a few. There are a few people, off the top of my head. I remember a few people, and I was like, so unfair. Why they do keep always win? But then during the game, Rinpoche will have a running commentary. Like those horse race, those soccer games where there's a running commentary or what's happening. Rinpoche will do that sometimes, and then you sometimes if you listen to Rinpoche's running commentary, right, you realize why they win the game. It's because they're very meticulous. So you can see Rinpoche will say, "Oh, look, they are very meticulous. They look everything up, left, right, up, center, and they're very systematic in the way they look for things. One section after another, instead of frantically going back and forth. Because some of us, because of the time limit, right? Like for me, I'll be like a headless chicken going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, here and there, looking whatever that, immediately comes to mind that I thought might be the place. So it becomes at random. Usually you will not find if you like that. The people who find are usually the more meticulous ones. Yeah. So that was the Uring game. I think the one that Sharon was talking about was one of the last ones in Dukkha Apartments where Rinpoche played with us, and it was really fun. And that one Rinpoche gave the best prizes, man. It was big statues. It was Buddha statues. It was beautiful stuff that Rinpoche prizes lah. Sorry, that that was nice. I think maybe perhaps in hindsight, Rinpoche realized that probably that was one of the last few times Rinpoche played with us. So Rinpoche really, really played with us. I mean, as in, not, well, it sounds off, but I mean, as in played the game. It was fun. It was really, really fun. Yiling. So these games have Dharma meaning, or do they bring out the realization of your own perspective? If you don't self-realize, Rinpoche would tell us in the running commentary, Rinpoche tell us, and at the end, he will explain certain things about people's personalities and why some people always find the prize, and why and what kind of characteristic do they possess that make them win the prize. That's the key. And it's more of people who are consistent, people who are meticulous, people who are systematic. Systematic means they go one section after another. Consistent, so in a way that the way they look for things, it's consistent, it's systematic. It's basically the same thing, consistent, systematic, and they have the same characteristics and the way they do things consistently, and they don't get distracted. Some of us get, like me, I do get distracted, like when Rinpoche say, "Oh, Pastor Nero found it. Oh, Cynthia found it." I was like, "Oh shit!" Then I look, then I from one location I switch to another because time is running short. And also sometimes we observe the other players and we see how they do things, so we also learn, and it's fun, and it's also a learning experience. Yeah. So in the end, it was bonding for all of us. It's not just a game. It was bonding. It was fun. I think I think companies do things like that too, but like what do you call it, team building exercise, in a way that it's but their games in team building is more to like make sure that everybody work with each other. So what this one is to highlight the way we operate, the way we think, the way we do things. Because Rinpoche would point it out, and sometimes he would joke, he would tease almost everybody. He would say certain things, and he would joke, and he would say things that make us self-aware that okay, I'm not being systematic, I'm jumpy, I'm not looking at things That's why I'm not winning. I'm not finding that earring because I'm just going here and there, like hey, let's see. Or some of us we give up easily. There are some players they halfway through because everybody's winning, so we're just like slowly taking our time because we know we'll never find it. So it shows in the lack of enthusiasm shows that we give up easily. Okay. Andre Nugroho Sihananto. I still cannot imagine Pastor Hani Lim Han Lim Hani participate in this funny game. Oh, not just Pastor Lim Han, many others. Many. Some of them are like the senior students of Rinpoche, and they're running around with the other younger ones looking for the earring. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Those were the games that Rinpoche used to play with us, and then along with that, pick game and this one. These are the two biggest one in general. And with I mean, aside from that, it's. I mean the only other thing I can think of was, let me see if there's anything else. There are some board games that Rinpoche used to play with us. We used to play Snake and Ladders. I remember I played with Rinpoche before. Snake and Ladders. We played Monopoly. We played yeah, not often though. Rinpoche is not really fond of Monopoly board games and card games. Sometimes there was a game called Steal the Old Man's Pack. Don't ask me how it goes, but it was to do with playing cards, and women played with us for a while, and that one is not with a lot of people. It was just a few of us in the Ladrang, and it was something he learned from his parents in America, and they used to play that. Steal the Old Man's Pack. Yeah, that's about it. And then yeah, it was Monopoly, it was Snake and Ladders, it was Steal the Old Man's Pack, and that's it. Those are basically the games I remember Rinpoche would play from time to time. And towards the later part of Rinpoche's life, not as much as earlier as before, and only towards like that earring game, the last earring game. Just a lot of memories lah. So if you have any questions about that, just do let me know. In general, Rinpoche is always childlike, always childlike in a sense that he can come up with the darnest thing. He can say the darnest thing, the funniest things about people. He can come up with the funniest scenarios, and he can. Another thing that Rinpoche can he can literally come up with a monologue where he can play multiple characters. Rinpoche can come up with accents, French, German, Chinese, Malaysian at times. Just on observation, and then he will have a conversation between few people, and I mean as in a monologue lah. He himself saying it, but it's he played different characters, and it'll be so funny. I think there's one or two recordings on YouTube when Rinpoche did that in his teachings. In the middle of the teaching, I think part of it is to wake us up. Part of it is to highlight a certain point of the teaching in a humorous way. That's what Rinpoche would do. So he would highlight a certain like people's attachments to money. I remember Rinpoche sometimes, as many of those recordings don't get aired. Some do because Rinpoche would say names because it's a particular person. So Rinpoche would say it and he will act it out, and you immediately know what Rinpoche is referring to. It's their attachment or their hang up, but Rinpoche would make it in a humorous way. You know, it will make everybody laugh. And that's one thing about Rinpoche I notice about is that there are a lot of things that Rinpoche do bring up may be sensitive, especially to older people. may be sensitive in a sense that Rinpoche is referring to their attachments, their hang-ups. But Rinpoche, I don't know, I noticed Rinpoche is able to do it well and get away with it. Mainly because I think everybody knows Rinpoche has a good intention. And it's also a teaching for us. You know what's the teaching? When Rinpoche brings up our hangouts and attachments, it is for us to let go. If we are offended, if we find it difficult, if we find it difficult to we cringe, or we difficult to hear, difficult to see, and when people laugh and we feel then it shows that we have to work on it. We need to work on it, and what do you mean by work on it? Let go. First step is to let go. People laugh. I've gotten laughed at so many times, you cannot imagine. How do you think Rinpoche trained me to teach, to talk on, to share things? Because Rinpoche, with me, is no holds barred, okay? Rinpoche would talk about everything and anything about me to anybody, and Rinpoche does so many things to me that I can't even say. There are some things that are still a hang up for me, and those are the even in the long, Rinpoche. I mean, with me, I'm Rinpoche's favorite victim, basically. So everything under the sun, from sexuality to my physical appearance, to multiple names, name calling. People are very offended by names. I've gotten many times from Rinpoche, different names. Some names are funny, some names are somewhat almost rude. And I just take it. I got used to it. So I realized it's a teaching in itself to let go. Because a lot of times when we are offended by how people refer to us or use certain words on us, it's actually us, not them. It's how we react. So with me, I've gotten so many times from Rinpoche. I can't say I'm immune. I still get affected by what people say. Aside from Rinpoche, with Rinpoche, I don't know, because I've been with Rinpoche for so long. I just know Rinpoche's intention. It's always good. So I don't, I just like let go lah. Some people argue actually it's not I've let go. It's just that I have no choice but to let go. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it was. And I'm sure you've seen some of my videos on my reluctant videos that Rinpoche will make me do things on YouTube. Being a clown, being a court jester, running around with flowers, or whatever you many. Okay, let me see. I see some running conversations here. I remember once when we played Monopoly. Okay, this is from Pasanaro. I remember once when we played Monopoly, Rinpoche did a running commentary of some of our moves. It was funny but quite revealing of how our minds work. Rinpoche is great at mimicking people. Oh my God. You just reminded me, Sharon. That's exactly what Rinpoche did. And it's no words. There's no words involved. What Rinpoche would do is he would mimic the way people move and the way people walk. And of course, Rinpoche, when he does it, he will exaggerate a little bit. And at the same time, he will copy the person's move. So it was, when you see it, you know who it is, and you will just laugh. If you are familiar with the people there, well, it was so funny, and Rinpoche can be so good at it. It's really, really good. I guess some of the better actors can do similar like that, but for me, it's like, I can't even mimic it, myself. And then Marcus says, I enjoy watching the videos on YouTube when Rinpoche would jokingly mimic situations of people and scenarios to teach us something. He was really incredible at this. Yeah, it was really entertaining, isn't it? When you watch it out of context, it's entertaining. But if you're there and you hear the before and after, then it becomes a very more powerful teaching. And then Andre Nugroho Nisananto asks, Pasana, would you mind to give us example of the moves and his commentary? It was a while ago though, Andre. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, okay. Basically, well, that's how Rinpoche did lah. In a sense that when Rinpoche observe us, it's more in depth, and then he would say things like why we do things, and then and also a part of our character in a sense of how, like for Pastor Niral Kinsta, he was just telling me that when he was playing Monopoly, he purposely bought a lot of properties. Right? Is that what you're saying? A lot of properties across the board, and and it was so that people when they came by and they would land, I mean that's the purpose of the game anyway, to land onto your property and you're charged a rental. So so when I think he was strategic in his placement of, I mean the properties he bought, so it was meant to bankrupt everybody who passed by. So Rinpoche told him, you're ruthless. Yiling asks or says, everything that Rinpoche says and does is a teaching if we are aware enough. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Rinpoche is very observant and insightful. It's a two combination of Rinpoche that it's not just he observes something and he just repeats it. He also observes and he tells you the reason why you operate in that way. And yeah, on many occasions, for not just people, around him, it could be people, that he has not met or not seen. Like for example, for me, um, Rinpoche was very insightful for me with my mother. Rinpoche has never met my mother, and I would tell Rinpoche of my issues with my mother, sometimes at times, and Rinpoche would tell me, oh, that's because of this. He would tell me a series of things about my mother, and how, and what can be done to help her. And Rinpoche in that way brought me closer to my mother to a certain point because of Rinpoche's insightful explanation of my mother. Although Rinpoche never met my mother. But anyway, back to the games. One of the last things that Rinpoche used to do, I remember, which I was, book bucket in my mind to tell you now, is that I'm a very forgetful person. I don't know if you are forgetful. I'm a very forgetful person in terms of the items I hold. So what Rinpoche did to was very simple. Um, with my phone, when I absent-mindedly leave it somewhere, and if Rinpoche sees it, what he would do is he will hide it. And he knows my character. He knows how unsystematic, erratic, and frantic. When I can't find my phone, I'm frantically looking, and when I'm frantically looking, I'm not systematic. So I end up looking for my phone for over an hour in Rinpoche's room. Yeah, building Rinpoche just hides it, and you know what? And Rinpoche will not even give me a clue. Sometimes I get so frustrated, but it's Rinpoche, so I cannot express my frustration. So I was like, okay, continue looking, just look, and it's like half 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. I still cannot find my phone in Rinpoche's room. And then sometimes Rinpoche is doing something or giving a teaching or just telling stories with some bunch of other people. I'm like trying to listen and look for the phone at the same time. I have to multitask. So in the end, you know what? The lesson was be aware of where you put your phone. So actually, it was very helpful for me because I noticed I misplaced my phone less. Unfortunately, he didn't cure my absent-mindedness with my phone, but that's because I'm still absent-minded. But um, I was much better because I got used to like not simply leaving my phone here and there because I used to just leave it there and forget it. You know. Yeah, that was one of the things that Rinpoche used to do with me. Actually, there's a lot of things. There are a lot of other things. What other things are? So do you guys have any other questions about, oh, there's a lot of things. Yeah, so the main, with people in general, it was the pig game that Rinpoche used to play. It was the pig game. It was the earring game. The earring game is not as often. It was just a couple of times, as far as I recall. When Rinpoche first devised it, it was many, many years ago. It was he would play it with us in his residence, in his earlier residence, which is a smaller terrace house. So the room was smaller, and but still Rinpoche would always miraculously find a place to put the earring, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an earring, but it started with the earring, so the name stuck. Okay, it's just a small object. So anyway, yeah, I just remember it was just, it was in his house, and we played for hours, hours upon hours. I tell you, the first one, and I tell you, at the end of that whole session, it was towards almost morning. We were still very hyped up by the game. But the moment I was really, really awake. But the moment I got back, I just crashed because I was so exhausted, because the adrenaline rush, the excitement, the rushing, the thinking, the moving, and walking. We're walking around in the circles in the room, just looking for the earring. Sure, not a problem. Hi, Amos. Hi. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun with Rinpoche at that time with regards to the earring game. And then the pig game was always a classic, a favorite with Rinpoche. And then, of course, the scare is also another one. The scare one is usually more often with only a few people. It's just mainly passing around myself and a few other students that Rinpoche would do that. And also any student in the movies. When Rinpoche bring people to the movies, especially it's a horror movie, Rinpoche would do a lot. It's quite funny. And Rinpoche would scare us. Sometimes he would throw things, popcorns. Remember, Rinpoche would rain popcorn on us at the right moment. The popcorn will hit when that moment, that scene, it's to match the scene in the movie. That scene where you expect the monster to jump out, Rinpoche would throw a popcorn at us, and that tap on our shoulder would make us jump. Yeah. Well, anyway, it was just how Rinpoche did play with us, and it was a lesson in awareness. It was a lesson in it was a teaching in awareness. It was a teaching in observation of ourselves, of how we operate, on how we do things. Because how we do things reflects how we do our Dharma work, how successful our Dharma work will be, and how we get along. How successful our Dharma work will be how well we get along with our Dharma brothers and sisters. How well we get along with our Dharma brothers and sisters will be, in the long term, will be how well we'll be able to help others. Because when we get along with people, we'll have more opportunities to help each other. Because in a Dharma group, an organization like Kechara, which is not humongously big, is just a pretty close-knit bunch of students. And what happens is we need each other. We need to inspire each other. We need each other. We need to get along with each other, which is in itself can be a miracle for some of us. In itself, it's a miracle. I'm just, it was just a joke, in the sense that some of us are, because we need to work along with each other. So when we get along with everybody, then because there's bound to be a situation where somebody will need help, one way or another. All right. So in the Dharma, all this is very important, because we'll get along with each other is very important, because we don't live alone. We're not a hermit monk. We're not a hermit meditator. we are a part of a community, a Dharma community. And what better place to practice the Dharma than within ourselves? I mean, with ourselves, you know. And when we do it, when we get along well, we can inspire people. We inspire people by being a nice person. We can inspire people by embodying what Rinpoche is trying to inculcate in us. You know, wow, that word, inculcate. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Sharon. Being harmonious, get along with everybody. It's very important, and it shows our level of patience. It reflects our level of patience. It reflects our Dharma learning. It reflects our practice. Because if we can get along with people, everybody, no matter how difficult they are, we can get along with everybody. Then it will be very helpful with our practice. Okay, it will be very, very helpful, and especially when our practice means helping others. I mean, we are a Buddhist organization. We are a Mahayana Buddhist organization. Mahayana means practicing compassion. How do you practice compassion when we can't get along with people? Think about it. If you cannot get along with some people, how do you practice compassion? Compassion shouldn't be just about one person or a group of people we like. It should be everybody, even the people we don't like. And at the very least, some people we cannot get along with, we at least don't retaliate. We don't, we don't spread rumors or say nasty things because we don't like that person. All right. So I've pretty much come to an end for this session. You can, if you have any last thoughts or any last questions, you can ask or share what you thought about what I shared about Rinpoche and how he played games with us. Isn't it fun? The last thing that Rinpoche did is not really a game. It didn't seem like a game. It wasn't fun for me. There was one time we drove along this lonely road outside of Kechara Forest Retreat towards the end, which is a waterfall, which is many kilometers down ahead. And at night, this road has no lights. It's pitch black. So what Rinpoche did was, he asked me to check something outside the car. He stopped. I mean, Rinpoche wasn't driving, it was another student, but he asked the student to stop and he asked me to check something. And it's like, I had a feeling what Rinpoche wanted to do to me. So I said, no, I think it's fine, Rinpoche. Then Rinpoche said, no, you have to check. You go look. He said a few times. Then I finally, okay, I better listen. So I went out. Then Rinpoche drove off. And Rinpoche drove off, and he really drove off. Okay, I can't even see the red backlights, the rear lights of the car. I can't even see it anymore already. So, and after Rinpoche passed, darkness just enveloped me. So I turned on my phone. I put on the lights and I walked off. So as I walk, I was like, oh boy, it's like all sorts of bird noises and owls and the wind and rustling of the leaves. It was pretty scary. But you know what I started doing? I think did I recite mantra? I forgot what I did. I could have been reciting mantras because I was scared. So I started reciting mantras and then walking and not trying to look because I start imagining to see things. I don't think they are really things. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I can't tell. But in the darkness, you start to see all sorts of things. Start to imagine. My imagining went wild. So I walk. I just went ahead. I just continue on. Then finally, suddenly, Rinpoche turned around and came back to pick me up. And he asked me for my experience. Yeah, he asked me for my experience and he asked me what I've thought about it. And I just said, Rinpoche, it was scary. It was just plain scary. And I told Rinpoche, I felt like, I told the sensations I felt. I mean, I couldn't remember most of it. There's some things and then I just told Rinpoche, and then Rinpoche said, you were fine, you were protected. He made sure of that. And he just said it was just a kind of like a teaching for me in a sense that of listening to instructions, and it was also to have faith. There was a number of things Rinpoche. I wrote more in my blog. I had a blog post. That one will have much more of what Rinpoche said because that was fresher then, because I wrote it just after it happened. And I did hear that Rinpoche. I did recall that Rinpoche said it was good that I followed anyway, because there are he can imagine a few students, if he asked the same thing, they will not listen they will not do it. They will outrightly reject Rinpoche, and they will refuse to do it because they're just too bloody scared. Sorry about my language. Too scared, and because of their fear, they will not listen to what Rinpoche asked them to do. And that was what it was. And when I don't call this a game, but I find it's kind of related, lah. Okay, I have some questions here from Mr. Lam. Pastor David, can I know how did you land yourself into being a pastor? How I land myself like an airplane? Was it an inspiration from Rinpoche? And Andre says, wow, I don't know if the Rinpoche permitted to drive car. The monks in my area usually have driver and they are not permitted to drive. Why are they not permitted to drive? Rinpoche does have a license, but on that day itself, it wasn't Rinpoche driving. It was a student of Rinpoche that was driving. Yeah. Usually, we would ask Rinpoche. Actually, monks, it's not an issue about monks driving as far as I recall. Unless they must have a license, they must know how to drive. It's a Rinpoche. It's not supposed to do things on its own, like go out and drive his own car. Actually, by protocol, a Rinpoche is not supposed to do that. He should have an assistant doing that, because to reflect his position, and it gives an opportunity for the students to serve the teacher. But there are times where Rinpoche would want to drive himself. Most of the time, we'll insist, we will offer to drive. I offered to drive Rinpoche many times. I've driven Rinpoche many, many, many times. Yeah. Okay, anyway, back to Mr. Lam's question. How did I land myself? Well, many, many, many years ago, not that many, I became a pastor, I can't remember the year already, maybe probably 7 to 8 years ago. Actually, when Rinpoche first conceptualized the idea of the pastors and started the whole program with the pastorship, Rinpoche did had me in mind. And but at the time I was also very young. At the same time, I had some issues with my mother, because my mother was issues lah. Let's put it this way: issues with mother. So it was Rinpoche felt that if I were to be a pastor at that time, would make the issues worse. So Rinpoche did not ask me to be a pastor, and I of course didn't request either. And then finally it came to a point where Rinpoche felt, when my mother was still alive, of course, both my parents have passed since now. Then it came a point where Rinpoche felt it was the right time, and Rinpoche asked me what I thought, and I said yes, I would like to. And I just thought it was a good opportunity for me to serve my parents, serve Kechara, pay back what payback is a very weird way of saying it, but more like repay the kindness, or show gratitude for Rinpoche's many years of taking care of me, of instilling, teaching me on a personal instructions, on a personal basis. And also, I do acknowledge I have somewhat of a gift of the gab. I mean, I'm really good with, just talking. Sometimes it may not come out very well, but I can, a lot of it is to do with Rinpoche training me, but also on my own, sometimes I just like to rattle on. So yeah, I just thought it was something that I can use to help people and benefit people. And also, on top of that, I know quite a lot of Dharma. because I'm one of the seniors in the organization. Now I have white hair already, a lot of white hair. When I first started, I was like the youngest in the organization. Now I'm like one of the seniors already. So that's how I became a pastor lah. So when I was ordained, my parents were not present, but they're aware. Okay, so but my parents are okay. They took it pretty well. I mean, it's not like I'm becoming, it's not like I'm renouncing my family or whatever. So it's fine. It's a wonderful way to repay the kindness. It's a wonderful way to serve others. And I know this sounds like a textbook answer, but that's what it really is. What else can I? I'm not good. I'm not particularly good at anything else. I'm supposed to be good at writing, but that's part of what I do. It's part of what I to sharing the now as a pastor. And I'm not particularly good with numbers. I'm not really good with leading people to do projects. I'm not particularly good with raising funds. I'm not particularly good with organizing people, to do this, but I can share the Dharma. I can teach. I can, I can write a little bit. I have something to write about. Maybe I'm not that good at writing, but I have a message behind my writing. So even, it needs a bit of editing, but the message will get across. So, yeah. So that's how I became a pastor, basically, in a nutshell. All right. All right, so I guess this is it. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'll be back in another 2 weeks. All right. Let me do a little bit of dedication. And today I have quite a bit of sponsors. Okay, I have from you, Mr. Lam and family. Dedication, His Eminence Tsem Rinpoche returns swiftly to Kechara Forest Retreat to turn the Dharma wheel again. And then from Abby, dedicated the Kechara team for your YouTube videos. And then from Bradley, may the merits be dedicated towards the completion of the Relic Stupa project and Rinpoche's swift return. And from Abby again, to the Kechara team for your YouTube videos. From an anonymous, may His Eminence the 25th Tsem Rinpoche's incarnation return to Kechara Forest Retreat soon. From KS and family, may Kecharians have abundance of merits and best of health, gain highest realizations and attainments. Janju Sencho Rinpoche, Make Panang Gyushe, Keba Yama Mipayang, Gonen Godo Pewasho, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Make Panang Gyushe, Keba Yama Mipayang, Gonen Godo Pewasho, Daso Jene Sabagewadi, Tanandroa Gonlan Kampada, Jebo Jozo Lozon Drapa, Tamping Korindo Sao Shesho, Kewa Gundo Yanda Lamada, Jame Joki Pala Long Chache, Sada Langhion, Den Rachoni, Doji Changi Gopang Yotosho, Gewadi Yudoda, Lama Sange Juguni, Joachi Malupa de Sala go pasho chu ja bo song ga ba cho so na ma pe wa la ge ge sha ma che wa da tu ni ma lo sha sho da da shen ge do son da ju wa shle te ni ya wa lo son dra pa yi tam pa yu rin ba gyu je ni mo da la san ta la ne me gong yan da la she nya san ta tu da la pa o kon cho so jin gyu lo kon cho so ngo do so kon cho so ta shi sho je sun la ma ku so rap ten che nam ka chin le jo ge ge pa da lo san te me jo mi samsung ge do mo so ta tu ne gyu she gang ri ra we ko wa shin gam den pen den da马路경화에는 채널 세관 단순 가서이 샤피 시대 봐도 된 교제 홍동 뱅어로 말로 봐 렌데 달라서도 권한 템플 로촌나 개바 소시 슈든 셀 Thank you. Good night.